Hi there. So today I'm going to try to talk about how we move files from our computer to a server and vice versa. And this is a really important because you need to know how to move files to the server because they can run the code really efficiently. So basically a server is something, it's like a remote computer. It has like a lot of capacity. You don't even know where it is or what it looks like, and you can run your code on it. And usually like universities or workplaces, a lot of places, give you those facilities to run your code on a server. So you can take some of your computing stress away from your computer and then run it on a server. And that saves you a lot of stress and a lot of heartache. So, but what is it exactly? And how do you move files from your computer to a server and back from a server back to your computer? So I'm a student right now at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So I'm going to show you how you can do that, like how you can move your code, have it run on the server, produce the results. They have a lot of computational power, these computers and these servers. Like sometimes they can have like 500 gigabytes or terabytes of capacity, and it's so much faster than your own computer. Otherwise, you'll be left kind of having your computer kind of run this code kind of for like, let me show you actually. If you don't use a server, it might really be very difficult because you may end up having to run this code um like on your computer, having this code run all night, all day, and it's super stressful. So let me show you exactly how we will do that. So you must have seen that they have these black screens, where it looks like it's a hacker kind of hacking in, right? But pretty much what you want to do is you want to have your computer be able to have a little bit of a break as well. So otherwise, like me, one of my computers kind of was going to die in a way because I used to set it over to like never, like never sleep or, keep running code overnight. But that's sometimes just not ideal. So we have this code over here that I've written. We have like this code. I'm sort of working on this code. There's an R file over here. You can see my computer is going to freeze on me, right? So how do we kind of work with that? How do I kind of work with this? So let me sort of show you a little bit of how we will have that work. So this code, I have saved it here. Let me just pull that up right now. And let me move it here to show you guys how we will move this. Let's see. So what you're going to see is the following, that I have my D drive here, and what my D drive looks like is essentially, it's just this. And like, has like a little bit of information as well, which is good. And back in the day, I remember when before we had all these emojis that are super cute, we have like these happy emojis, sad emojis, all sorts of emotions, right? So I was really confused, like, how can we tell, like, what is this? I had a friend who was messaging me once with this, like a colon and then a parentheses, and that looked like, and then like this is another one message, and then this was another message, for instance. And like in an email, for instance, when I know I'm old school, but they had even this. So how do you know what these are? And I was super confused. And then my friend was like, hey, why don't you just turn? And you'll see this is a smiley face. This is a smiley with a tongue out. This is a heart sign. This is a cool sign with glasses. This is a grinning with the nose. This is like a clowny smile. This is like a kissy smile as well, with the puckered lips and everything. So similarly, like when we are running code, what I really like is that, hey, I have my whole R environment over here, and I can see, I can like run the code, have my plots, have my packages, see all of these things here. But when I'm running on this remote computer, sometimes it's harder because I can't really see what that looks like. So I know now my brother was, really after me to get Ubuntu, Windows emulator Ubuntu for Windows subsystem for Linux, essentially, because it's so much better in some ways than the defaults. So I kind of want to show you how you would move files to the server and back. So yeah, I have this code, I want to run it. So let's see, how would we do that? So there's so much data that we could use. So the first things first, let me show that right now. You want to make sure that you are essentially logged in to Global Protect. So let's see, this is Global Protect. It's an app. So if you're not connected to it, let me just disconnect and let me connect. This is like my Wi-Fi information. So this is my, you want to make sure that your portal is uwmadison.vpn.wis.edu. So let me just load that in again. You want to make sure that you are connected here to Global Protect. Now, the next thing, what's going to happen is the following. You're going to want to start to pull and push some of your files. So in my D drive, this hard drive here, right? I have these two files. One of them is this R script that I was showing you that I'm working on, this R script over here that I have, and I want to basically pull it or push it to the server so that it does what I want it to do. So let's kind of get that started. I'm just sort of making sure I have all my references taken care of there. I'm just saving it. And so I saved it right now, which is what you'll see. So I had these two files, mini file, and then this is my Excel file, and this is this file here. So it's my D drive. So what I want to do is I have launched my Windows subsystem for Linux. Apologies if it's not so clear right now. So CD would be like change directory. This is, Saniya Khullar is my name here. This is the Ubuntu Windows subsystem for Linux. So what I want to do is I want to mount my D drive. So this will be very different based on where you are. So you see, this is my D drive here. So I'm just going to mount it. So I'm going to try printing out a lot of things, but you might be like really freaked out. Like, so let me just actually print my working directory. So it's I mounted my D drive here. That's printing my working directory. So if I want to do CD spring 2020 CD advanced bioinformatics. So this is sort of my information on my bioinformatics, right? So I can sort of see, okay, LS. They can list all my files for that class, actually. So you can see here, like lung tumor modules, project, homeworks 3, homeworks 4, right? So what I was trying to mention to you guys before, sorry, it's a little bit messy, but what I was trying to mention to you guys is that, like, for instance, the way that you work with the server is the following. Let me pull it up here that I have, let me pull up from spring of last year. So you'll see from spring of last year's class, right? Like all of these here, that all of these things like COVID, like I was really interested in COVID result work as well, lung tumor as well. I was looking at different projects and, and all, including Alzheimer's. So COVID-19, my project report, which you'll have to do as well, COVID-19, lung tumor. So what you see is that what's colored, for instance, these are some of them. The other ones are like, project, modules, homework 3. All of these ones that are sort of colored differently are my different folders that we have. These are the different folders. So what I was trying to mention with how my friend did it is I was trying to illustrate how you don't really know sometimes what each thing would represent back in the day. So we wouldn't have all these cool emojis that are representing smiley faces and all sorts of things. Now we have a bazillion of those, but it wasn't so easy before. Like, for instance, you can even see that there's a library of all these different emojis. And you can think of this as a computer that we can sort of see what these all look like here. This guy's chuckling, and this is like a little devil here. This is a really cheerful, happy, smiley. I like the huggy one as well, the huggy smiley. These are the cute little cats and clowns and all sorts of things, a ghost. There's so many things here. And we don't even have to use as much of our imagination for what these are anymore. You know, we don't even need to use this imagination. We have, like, this would probably be a D, like this would be like this happy smiley, for instance. So the idea is that on your computer, we can see all these different folders here. I can see exactly how these folders look. But on a Linux machine, on a virtual machine, we may not be able to see what those look like. So I won't be able to see what those exactly are. So what Linux does is it tries to tell us by different colorings that these are folders. This is a folder, this is a folder, this is a folder. And without even changing or using my mouse to go into something, what I can do is I can do pwd, and this will tell me like the folder Spring 2020 Advanced Bioinformatics, which is the same thing as what this file path is. So that's great, right? So similarly, I want to be able to move my code to the server so I can run it. The first things first, I made sure I have access to the Wisconsin VPN, the Global Protect. You know, if you don't have access, please check out the site, you know, for the Wisconsin VPN. This is what the site looks like. Make sure you have access to it. Here, this is the site. So now I want to move my R code and that file to the server. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, I want to go exactly to the Saniya's files for server, and I want to push these files to the server. So what's really important to note is that if I want to push a file to the server, I'm going to firstly, let me say where I want to push it. So let me go here. Let me go to PuTTY. So this might differ for a Windows computer. So what I have is I have Nebula 9, which is one of our servers. So we have a few different servers that we have access to. And basically, if you don't have this filled out already for your host name, you would just do like mi2.biostat.wisc.edu, and then you would save it with the port as Nebula 9. So I would call it like Nebula 9, and then I would save it. So I have this and then this and this. And ultimately, when I save it, the way it looks is like this. So this information and all this information will be saved here. That's what that is. There's Nebula 9. So that's that session. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mi2.biostat.wisc.edu. So I'm just going to do open. And then what it's going to open up is this, exactly. Nebula9.biostat.wisc.edu is the same thing as mi2.biostat.wisc.edu. So I'm going to enter in this Khullar. I have a few different folders, but let's say let me just print this working directory here. Apologies that it may not be so easy to read this. So this is like an example of a server. So this is like a virtual computer. You know, I want to make sure I have access to it. So I want to make a directory sample folder. Let me just call it sample folder. Then I'm going to list all of my directories and then do cd into sample folder. And I can tab it. Ls, I have nothing here. So I want to figure out, because this is a server, I want to figure out, okay, well, what is the file path? ua/Khullar/sample folder. That's the file path that I want, right? So what I like to do is I like to keep track of it here. This is sort of the folder. Like if I were to copy something from here and I were to paste it in something else, for instance, like another brand new folder, it would copy that file to the other location. So each file here essentially has a given properties. What it does is it has a certain set of properties, like where will you find this file? How does that work again? Let me show you if I were to look in, let me show you an example here. So if I were to do example, loading in file. So I can do import, this is in Python, import pandas. So this is, please import import pandas as PD, import numpy as NP. So if I want to load in certain packages, like let's say I want to load in data set is equal to, now I want to load in this mini file right here. So let's just try mini file. Let me just try reading it in. pd.read_csv, mini file.csv. What is it going to tell me? No, it can't. It can't find this file because we don't have mini file.csv. It's looking, it's like, I can't find it. I'm looking in the folder that you've mentioned and I cannot find it. So it's going to go here and it's going to look in all in this area and it's going to be like, hey, I can't find it. It's going to look all over here. And this is the folder that we're currently in. It's going to say, I can't find it. So how do I tell it like that I want the CSV file here, this mini file? This mini file is what I'm looking for. No, not this. Okay. Like this mini file, for instance. How will I tell it? Well, the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to tell you exactly where you can find that mini file. So what I will mention is I'm going to say properties, which is the same thing. So you'll notice here d.saniya's files for server is the same thing as this. So I can do either, or I can click this directly and also copy it. And I'm going to say, I'm going to tell you exactly where you can find this file. And this is how you read in this file data set. Unless your Python code is in the same folder as that, then it can find it, like what's around it. So now it can read what it is. It'll be able to read that in. So you notice that we need to add this in. We need to add Saniya's files for server and then this d:// to tell you where exactly to look. So that's exactly what we have to do. So if I want to push a file from one place to the next, I want to push it from this folder here, Saniya's files for server there. Then I have to figure out what is it called. I need to look at PuTTY and see what is that folder. I want to move it to this folder called sample folder, which I'm using for you guys. So this is what I want to do. I want to move all those files. So this is a command for moving. isync/va, so moving from current location to the folder on the server. What I think is easier is if you just navigate on your computer to the folder where you want to do the moving. That is a lot easier. So on my folder, what I want to do is I want to move files from a current location to a folder on the server. And the folder on the server is going to be sample folder. So this part is what you always need. Then what you need to do is, so already where I've gone is I've gone to on here. I need to first say, okay, I'm right here. So if I put my working directory again, I'm right in my advanced bioinformatics. I just want to do cd cd like, so this is like equivalent of me sort of just moving out of here. Like I'm just like clicking here, I'm like moving out like a directory. So I'm moving out here. Now I'm going to do cd into, I'm going to tab Saniya, this files for server. So now we see that there are just these two files. There's the R file and then there's a mini file.csv. So what I want to do is I'm already currently in this same folder. That's the exactly the same folder right now. This is exactly the same. So like if I print my working directory, it's mount d Saniya's files for server, and it has these two inside it, mini file and Saniya Jensen snips. So what I want to do is I want to take these files and move it to the server. So essentially what I'm trying to do is the following. I'm trying to take these two files right here from this folder. I'm currently in the folder where I want to be, and I just want to drop them into the sample folder on this other computer. That's what my goal is. That will make me happy. So that's what I want to do. So what I am going to do now is I'm going to say the following: rsync slash dash va. So this is what I always do to set it up. Now what I'm going to see is, okay, now what do I do that's different? I want to do star. Then what I want to do is I want to find out, when you log in, you have a certain username to access this computer. So what this is saying is I just want to take everything inside this folder that I'm in. I want to take both these files. That's what star is. If I had something in particular I wanted to send, like let's say I just wanted to send like mini file.csv, maybe mini, or anything starting with the mini.csv, if I wanted to just push that to the server, then that's what I would do. Like I would write the specific file name. You know, let's say you have a giant, like folder with lots of things. You just want to push something in it. You can write the specific file name. You know, anything beginning with a mini, or just all the CSVs would just be this. And then more complicated commands you could write. But if you just want to push everything, not worry about it, you can do rsync dash slash va. That's what you need in general to set up. This is just saying that where I am, I want to take all the files, and this is my account. It's Khullar at nebula9.biostat.wisc.edu. So it's the same thing I used to log in. Again, I know you probably may not have caught that. So I'm going to show you again that how I got this is Nebula9 at biostat.wisc.edu. So what my login is Khullar. That's my name. And if you don't know what yours is, it's going to actually tell you. Enter, this is the account. So you see that you can always get it from the top. Like, what is your account? And you're going to move your files from the current location to the folder on the server. So which folder do I want? Well, I kind of want to go to this folder here. So that's the whole address. Remember, that's what an address is. That's how I got this file to open up, and I got rid of the file not found. Remember, like if I just had this, you know, without it, it would have given me an error if I don't have this address here. If I get rid of this address, it's going to complain. Like if I have like data set 2, for instance, it's going to complain. Like it just doesn't know where it is. So I need to give the address that, hey, I'm Nebula9, might be in the name of a server at Wisconsin. It could be the name of the server in Hawaii or London, or all over, right? For instance, we want to make sure we're looking at the one that's for the UW-Madison Biostatistics Department. And we're getting, this is my account. This is my folder inside here. This is the command I'm going to use to move the files from my current location to the folder on the server. So now let me just copy and write and paste it here. So you can do this because, oh, it looks like I clicked it by accident twice. So it's going to then, see, like it's making a connection. So it's going to ask me, hey, enter in your password, which I will enter in. And you're going to see it sending incremental file list. It's sending both those files here, sent. And now when I go into this remote computer here, it went from being completely empty. See, I did list everything inside it. It was empty. Now, if I do list, it's going to have both my files here. So now I'm going to want to run this file, get some results, right? So one of the things I want you guys to realize is that as soon as I close out of this, technically this session would be over. It's like me slamming the computer shut. I don't slam it, I keep my computer nicely, but it's like me closing the computer and then it's just not going to run. And now imagine, how will we tell this to just keep running? You know, well, one way is that you could just say, like me sometimes, why my other computer sadly is kind of going to die, is that I would like leave it on, like never end it. Always have it on. Like don't sleep. Let the code run overnight as much as possible. And that contributed to my late night sleeping too, which wasn't good. But anyways, so what we want to do is we can start something called this tmark, so there's screen. So what screen allows you to do is -s is just like um, like my session or something. It allows you to just create a session so that even if you multiple sessions, so that even if this is closed, it's going to run whatever is going on in that session. You can always access it again. It's going to save it. So you can try that screen. And what you see is it just has, like, you can call it anything. So again, the code I'd written was like screen/s and then session name, whatever you want to call it. Like later on, you can access it. but you don't even need to worry about accessing it again or not. The bottom idea is that if you get disconnected from Wisconsin network or something happens and this becomes inactive, you can still access it again with the screen. It will keep running it even if if you close this. So you can use the screen command. So again, it's screen, capital S, and then new command or new screen name or something like that. That's all you just need, this screen /S and then some session name. Anyways, so I'm gonna just go back here. I'm inside my current folder, print working directory as well. So what I want to do is I'm basically just going to make sure that I can access this file. So don't get, so one of the things I'm going to do now is I've run this command called htop. Htop is just kind of, so again, this is called htop. This is something that's useful. It shows you memory and swap, you know, how much memory is being used by your code, for instance, and by other people on the same server, and what are some of the people there. So in general, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you, I'm just going to log into something a little bit more powerful. CD. Okay. Essentially, I'm in the server again. Don't worry about this. This is just me running my code and using a real example to show you. So now let's say I want to run this R code in general. So the thing let's say now I'm checking, oh man, I noticed that my R code, it's missing something here. So let's say I want to run my R code as a script. One of the things I'm going to notice is that, hey, I don't have something on the top that I need to use to run R in Linux. So run R in I actually just need to add this to the top. So I realized, hey, I just made a mistake. I forgot this line in my code, right? So what do I do now? Well, what I can do is I can just keep like rerunning the same line. I can just push it up. It's just going to push one thing up to the server. And that's just going to be this one line here because I just made one small change. This mini file stays the same. So any changes that get made, as soon as I can push the up arrow and then it's going to just, send if any updates were made. So now I'm inside here and I want to do R40. This is just how to access R 4.0. Don't worry about this if you don't need to. This is really cool. So the source, this file is called Saniya Jensen. So I'll just do source. Saniya, and you can see there's just one file in this folder, so it's able to run this. And if there are any errors along the way, I can keep fixing them and then running it again. So this is it just loading in the files. So you can see it's like running some intervals, right? Which is super cool, right? It's running the intervals that I wanted to run. So let me go to CD sample folder ls. So it just has these two files. Part of the code will be generating some results. And I'll show you how we will do the opposite. So here, let me actually also just do something like make a folder, which is the same thing as make directory. So let me show you how we can do that. mkdir server results. You see, it's the same thing as me making a folder. I could just do new folder, right? So now I want to just pull my results back to maybe server results. I just want to be a little bit more organized. So I just want to pull back my results to this folder, server results. Now, like if I do printing working directory, I have my server results from here. I could have maybe another folder potentially. But here for now, this is just an example. So now let's see how it's going. So we write our file here. You see, I have a code here, and I always have my traditional like happy face here, but we see we write out our code to this file over here. We found some snips here, for instance. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say, hey, okay, now before when I listed everything, this is another putty session that I had launched. Again, you can launch a lot of these putty sessions, putty gen. So now you see that I have like this R data file here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, okay, now I have an additional file. Like maybe I just want to pull these files back to my computer. So I want to pull it back to this folder. So what I want to do is I essentially just want to move him here. I want to take this file right here. And I want to move it from here all the way. I'm going to copy to my folder. That would make me happy. So how are we going to do that? Well, the idea is like our sync, it really is a little bit lopsided, but that's what I want to do. I just want to copy over all these R data files. And I'm taking advantage of the computing as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, well, this is the name of this file and it's an R data. So everything that I'm wanting is going to be R data. Okay. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to use the opposite. So like this is assuming that in Ubuntu emulator, Windows emulator of Linux, which is really helpful, that I'm so I went from Saniya's files on server to server results. So I'm in the folder that I want to be. So it's important that this on the left, this is the folder where we want to pull our results to. This is where we want it, this folder here, all of this. So it's important either that or you'll have to write another command. So to move the files from a folder on the server here, the folder on the server is given by this address from, and then this is to our folder on our computer. The folder on the computer that I really want to move it to is the following, is where I'm currently at. I can either list this out or I can just say dot. Dot means where I currently am. I don't have to like list any of the giant, like I could, otherwise I could just do, I could literally also just do the same thing where I print working directory, which is what this is. I could copy it here and it's the same thing, or it's this. It's pretty much the same because I'm in this current folder. This is where I currently am. So what you're going to notice is that rsync va stays the same. What I want to do from here is I want to move all our data files. So what I'm trying to move is all the R data files from all this R data files, and there'll be more as I'm running the script, all the loops will take some time. So I want to take all these R data files and then move them. So it's more like as I have a session, so as I continuously like, leave my computer, do other things, like I can just come back and have this there. So I'm going to have this. This is the folder. Within this folder on the server, I just want the R data files, so R data, everything that ends in an R data. Otherwise, what it would do is it would also just pull back again. I mean, it's not so bad because these are two files, like snips file and the snips R and mini file. But, if this came to like 100 or many different files, you wouldn't want to pull anything extra if you're just looking for something in particular. So I want to pull these R data files from the server. That's what this is telling me. It's looking inside the server, which is again what PuTTY is allowing me to access the server. And it's going to let me take all these R data files, and as more get generated, that's what this star is saying. I could be really specific and say, I just want this one file. Like I could just copy it here and say, I just want this one file. That's all I want. Or what I could just say is, hey, there's going to be more files. I just want to pull all the RA data files here. And I can keep clicking the up arrow again, like, periodically, and it'll keep pulling all the new ones. So it takes a while just to run it, set it up. But, once you get the hang of it, you can live your life, enjoy your computer, have things running on the server. So I want to pull all these files to either I can write this, This is the file I want to move it to. Or if we are already in the folder, then on Ubuntu on our Ubuntu emulator, then I can just say this isync/va, and I can just do this. So what this is always telling me, the way that this is structured is isync va, they stay the same. And this is if I'm in the, so another thing is that like, oh yeah, sorry about this one. I might also just want to add up this one. So if you're already in the folder, this is from Sinus files for server, then it would just be from before. It would just be this is what you would do. And it's sort of implied. This is like, what do you want to pull? So if we are already in the folder, then you just want this here. So pretty much what you're going to observe is that this is staying the same. So it stays the same. Then this part is saying, pulling, pushing everything. If I wanted to push in particular, like mini file.csv, I would just put this mini file.csv, or I could put anything in particular, but this is just push everything. Star means everything. Star is always a happy, means everything. So I'm pushing everything. Please move all files. All is what the star is saying. You could just, all files. It'll be something recursive /r. There are folders within folders as well. And that's like and that would be like a /r kind of thing, like everything inside those folders and subfolders, for instance. But we don't have that. It's a very simple example. So this is the source information here. And this first part is always the source from. This is the source. And then after the space this is the to. That's what this is. So like, let me also have this like this. This is the from. This is the source right here. And again, it's just like it's implied here as being the dot. This is the from over here, which we really need to because we're pulling it from the server. So it's no way that our computer would know without us specifying it here from folder to folder on our computer. So the top is, this one is computer to server, and this one is server back to computer once we run our code there. So then what this dot is saying here, this would just be the two. The two again is so it's all just the same kind of like layout. You'll notice here that this is the two. The two would also be like this and like this. So you'll notice that like this is also R2 as well here. This other mini box means that we kind of know before. So this is a from to R2. So let me just show this to you that this works. So this is our desktop here. Let me just actually do I can just also, like, if I'm a little bit lazy, I can just actually go into here. Oh, wait, eeks. Like, let me go in here. Sorry about that. Let me just have this here. And let me just select again all the data. And let me move it to this folder here. Anytime you're accessing the server, it's going to prompt us to, it's like if you log into a computer, you have an account and password, right? So it's pulling those files. You see that it pulled this R data file for now, and I can keep running it throughout. So like, what did it do exactly? It did what we wanted it to do, which is at 2:05, about 10 minutes ago, it finished running this R data file here, 87 kilobytes. So we were able to pull the result back to our computer. And I'm still seeing that this code is still running, right? So it's still running. And as it runs, I can just keep clicking this up arrow every time, so if nothing comes, But it's like me just checking again, you know, what is common? I can just pull it. Nothing comes. So it's going to check anything new, nothing new. Incremental list, nothing came, nothing came. This one had come before it, but nothing came. So it's like nothing is updated. The server is still running it. So this is sort of how you can run a file. So you have to make sure you have your from, your source, and then your to. And make sure everything has a background from where you're pulling it from and where you're pushing it to. This is like pushing. It's easier sometimes to just cut this part out if you are already in the folder. And if you're already in the folder, what you see is that you could just have an easier time because you could just be here. You could just have this line here or this line here. If you're already in the folder, it's just like a short command, which makes sense. So I recommend always making sure you navigate over to the folder, and it's always easier to verify it. I really hope that this helps you guys. So please let me know if you have any questions on this as well. Thank you guys. And again, this will also like differ based on like your school and other backgrounds as well, like where you're needing it.